You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue on Citi TV and Citi FM, broadcasting from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Umaru Sandamadu here with my panelists. We are looking at the issue of illegal, irresponsible mining, also known as Galamsey, and how we can really deal with that situation. I have in studio 3 panelists. I also have panelists on Zoom. I'm going to just quickly engage one panelist on Zoom. Michael Pepra is president of the Concerned Small Scale Miners Association. Mr. Pepra, you're welcome to The Big Issue.
Thanks for having me, my brother.
Were you invited to Kumasi this week?
No, I think apparently the meeting was between the House of Chiefs and then the MMDCs. So
you didn't have a seat at the table, but you are a stakeholder group, aren't you?
Yes, we were a bit disappointed anyway.
What do you make of the meeting and the speeches that were shared publicly, at least?
I think the meeting is something that has been happening for some time now, and it's the same thing we have been saying all over again. And as a matter of fact, we know that the chiefs are stakeholders in the fight against Galamsey, and we know the MMDCs are also to supervise and enforce the various laws in their various districts. So I think the meeting was okay, but then whatever transpired, there is something that has been happening. There was nothing new in the meeting.
What could have been new for you? What should have been the new angle that is introduced so that we can say to Dennis to go and report to the president?
I think the problem is about enforcement, because when you come to the field, you don't see people who comes around to check on the activities of the miners, especially on that sector, because EPA, if you read the Mining and Minerals Act, they are mandated to be checked with the Minerals Commission as well. But here is a case that it is hard to see them on the ground. So whoever acquires the license does whatever he wants with impunity. And as a matter of fact, we cannot blame the small scale miners on the
Michael? Okay, I think we've lost Michael there on the Zoom. The challenges of the internet. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, please proceed. Yes, we lost you.
So the activities of Galamsey, yes, the problem is about enforcement and monitoring. So if we go or we have a meeting and we don't hammer on the monitoring, it means we didn't really achieve anything.
Don't we have enough monitoring? The soldiers, what are they doing?
No, the soldiers only comes and go. But then if of Forestry Commission, they have forest guards, they have district managers, and they monitor every day 24/7. But in the mining field, you hardly see people who comes to check. Even Minerals Commission needs to be coming to the site for periodic engagements and then to do assay on whatever we do at the site. But they hardly come. So, it's a free word in the mining field. And that is one thing we are failing to understand.
Michael, is it true that one group of politicians is allowed to engage in mining while another is not? And that is just a matter of time. If there's a change of government, there will be a reverse. Do you get that sense, being involved in the mining industry yourself?
Yeah, that is true. Now, the mining sector is a bit political. And if you could remember, when John Abu Jinapo was appointed as a minister, he started banning excavators without recourse to law. He did that from his own emotions. And even excavators that were parked in various houses were burnt, and including somebody's house, which was banned as a result of this fight against Galamsey. And for Akunta Mining to mine with impunity without any document, the only thing the minister could do was just to release a communique to tell him to stop his activity. We feel like now this fight against Galamsey is political. And also, if you remember, when Erastus Asaridonko did his Galamsey documentary, it came out clear that the military were protecting some Chinese criminals. And our president ordered for an investigation to be done on that with that respect. But then, as a matter of as we speak now, we don't know whatever happens to the report. So we feel like, the fight against Galamsey is geared towards some people, and other people are, going around doing what they want.
Okay, so you hold a view then that if you had a party card, it would be easy for you to mine without any problem. NPP party card, I mean.
Yes, because what baffles us is, the minister is only a custodian or a ceremonial minister who only appends his signatory to licenses. But here is a case, the minister will call some group of people and then sign a license and call the media to capture. We were surprised because the minister doesn't even give out licenses. It's the Minerals Commission's duty to give out licenses. Recently, the minister came out that he assigned only 90 of licenses to small-scale miners. And we were surprised. We don't even know whom those licenses belong to. So we think that now even issuance of licenses is something that is not open, it is not clear, and there is no clarity on that. And we feel like now it is gearing towards political.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Let me come in studio. Kofi Adams, you've watched the president, you've listened to the chiefs. I mean, for me, aside the Galamsey matter, what jumped at me is that one of the chiefs, the chief who spoke, said that they should give them economic travel and sitting allowance because he said the current economic conditions are very harsh, and so they should be given sort of cost of living allowance kind of. That's something he mentioned, but let's focus on the main reason they held that program. You sat in Accra, you watched the forum. It's a national issue, isn't it? Is that the way to deal with the issue of Galamsey? And was the president on that right path?
Well, Sandra, thank you for the opportunity, and once again, good morning to my co-panelists. And I must say, first, the chief's appeal. It should be in order because the president made it quite clear to all of us that yetisikaso naso ekomdiye. This time, the chiefs are dying. And so, enye just a come they are not just angry, but they are dying. So they have decided to speak to the one who said, yetisikaso de komdiye, because they've seen that he's living lavishly. And they are now dying. So it was most appropriate for them to speak to the president that if there is anything there, don't live on that comfort alone then. Make sure that at least you spread it for the benefit of all. And so the chiefs were just speaking to the president directly to let him know that they don't see someone who feels the heat they are feeling. So they are asking for a little, maybe a little of what it is that he's enjoying. So that is just by the way in terms of what the chiefs ask for, some allowance for them. But I listened to Miracle when you gave him opportunity to tell us why Kumasi, why spending our resources to engage in a meeting in Kumasi. He attempted to do a miracle by taking us away from Kumasi and speaking as if Kumasi never happened. But then I took a number of things from what it is that he said. That one, Galamsey activity, for that matter, heightened somewhere around 2013, 2014. That was where it became a matter of some concern, that some attention have to be shown. That's part of his presentation, and that in the past, it just used to be shovel and pickaxes. And that by 2016, the method that was being used, according to him, those responsible for it thought that it was not working appropriately and that there's a need for broader involvement and engagement. What happened? In 2016, you happened to be lucky based on the messaging that you put out there and you won elections. What do? You pick the pieces and see what it is that was done, which you claim did not work well completely for something new that you admit have just started and had traveled just for some 2 years to work at correcting. What they did was to say all small-scale mining, Galamsey and legal ones should cease. Truly they stopped. But behind the scene, they were sponsoring their people to start yet another process. So if we are talking about failure, clearly per Miracle's own submission, this government has totally failed. They have no business talking about fighting Galamsey. But I don't see why anybody should be worried about the position of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, my political party. We exist as a political party, seeking for power to govern and to offer appropriate measures and processes of dealing with the problem that confronts this country. And Galamsey is one of it. And so the NDC will talk about it yesterday, we will talk about it today, and we will talk about it tomorrow. Because we know we can offer better leadership in dealing with this problem that confronts us.
Is that the leadership you offered when you promised to free persons who have been arrested engaging in Galamsey, and also saying you allow it to fester?
If you listen clearly, and if you listen to what Miracle himself read, if they were minded to look at the books and to listen to persons who started doing something, like Mr. Obin said. He said when Peter Mewu became the minister and they decided to engage in some fight, he was then the CEO of the Minerals Commission, and that he was in a way involved. He realized they didn't have any blueprint as to how to deal with it because the media started, so they jumped in. They are good at jumping into things without a blueprint at dealing with it. What they should have done is to have a proper blueprint, which includes the summaries that he read about Honorable Mahama Yariga, who was then the Science and Environment and Technology Minister, that a certain degree of involvement has to happen and a certain way of doing things have to be introduced in the mining sector. The NDC still believes that a proper regulated small-scale mining beyond what we have now is the way to go, so that reclamation and also responsible mining, first responsible mining and reclamation would happen effectively. That is still the NDC's position. And that is what President Mahama sought to push. That one, you do not have a situation where you claim to be fighting Galamsey. And when you have your party apparatchiks, executives, from the top to the lowest one, involved in mining, illegal mining, and you stopped others, and not only stop them, pick them up and throw them into what? Jail. And that he feels. Amnesty is granted criminals from time to time. It is not because they have not committed a crime, but it is because there's a certain belief that systems have been put in place and they would have learned their lesson. And President Mahama did not leave that out of his presentation. He did not say what they were doing was correct. He did not say what they were doing was legal. He admits the fact that what they have done was wrong, but he believes that they have learned some lessons, and especially with the way and manner the government was handling the situation.
This current government has introduced a law against Galamsey, which law says that if someone is involved in Galamsey, they should be jailed for at least 2 decades.
You have a government that even a law that existed in dealing with that situation, when they arrested someone that was nicknamed the Galamsey Queen, what they did was to package her and give her VIP exit.
As of that time, there was no law that says...
I am saying that there was law that was dealing with illegal mining.
Yeah, but
I'm saying that there was law.
Yeah, but
whether it was to sentence you to even 2 days in prison, or 1 day in prison, or 1 week in prison, there was law that did not allow you to practice illegal mining. You can say it's been enhanced, but if you fail to work with what existed and which was even easier for you to do, where is the will to deal with something higher that you have?
So I'm trying to weigh the two. This is the one party that has come into office and introduced a very punitive law to punish people. Another party says, when I come, I'm going to free the people who have been punished. Who should be taken seriously?
Omar Sanda. The government introduced punitive laws that is not applying. Are you not the media that has been concerned about all the number of things which I'll be mentioning later that has happened? Why? You have a president who currently, the issue running that all of you are talking about is about Akunta mining that has gone into the forest area to mine without license. You have a president who goes to the region where the person who owns the Akunta mine is the chairman of his party. And he is talking about illegal mining and Galamsey activities. He doesn't even talk about it. And you tell me because they have passed laws that provides opportunity to jail persons of a certain number of years. It means that I should keep quiet over all the wrongs that they are doing. But if you allow me to flow with my thoughts, as I have started earlier,
please go ahead.
It will help all of us. So I'm saying that they have failed. But the NDC is a political party. And we know we will do better any day, any time in terms of managing the illegal mining and Galamsey activities, and make sure that at least our water bodies, livelihoods on earth and below the waters will be safe. The NDC would always do a better job. Look, I listened to Miracle, and he said, because of Kweku Boahen's statement, allegedly, and a parliamentary candidate statement, the president and the whole government failed to fight Galamsey because this person spoke. Here is a president and a government that a whole sitting MP, not a parliamentary candidate, a member of parliament and a ranking member, raised concerns about your ostentatious lifestyle of always going for a luxurious jet to travel around the country. He is not a parliamentary candidate. They ignored all those calls and continued to travel around for the comfort of the president. You sit here and you are telling me that because of Kweku Boahen's statement, because of a parliamentary candidate who cannot even command a vigilante group, the commander-in-chief of Ghana Armed Forces says that he could not act.
Is that what he's saying? He was rather saying that he's calling out your party for your inconsistency.
What we are seeing on the ground is a total failure, where the turbidity levels of our water bodies has moved beyond manage. Now we are told that today, as at February 2022, and you know February is not a raining season. Usually,
you can't be sure when it rains. So it rains every time.
Usually during the heavy rainy seasons, the turbidity levels of our water bodies will naturally go up because it is moving with a lot of erosion is happening, and it will be moving with mud and what have you. Yeah. February is usually not a raining period, but as at February 2022, the turbidity levels of our water in these mining areas was between 508 and 3,880 NTUs. When the turbidity level of water that could be processed for drinking should be just a higher level of 5. And for other uses, they say between 80 and 150. But we had ours reading 508 to 3,880. That was the levels that we were recording in February. You can imagine what will be happening now.
The water company says it will be forced to shut down a lot of its plants because of that.
Exactly. All these concerns were not raised in 2016 that he was talking about, in 2017, in 2018, in 2019. Meaning it is the failure, complete failure of his government to act that has resulted in this situation, that have resulted in these turbidity levels. You see, we can use our mouths to talk. We can try to raise all kinds of concerns that, we took drones and we captured water bodies and we saw this and we saw that. But it is the measurement that will tell us. Everybody agrees clearly that the total ban on small-scale mining, both legal and then the illegal ones, to a large extent helped. The president claims that let not be partisan, but at the same time he was claiming that, and Miracle repeated it here, that their fight against Galamsey cost them seats. If it cost them seats, it's because they failed to fight it the way it should be fought. They were discriminating, they were allowing their people to continue, and the communities were saying it. That you stop us, you tie our hands, then you put us aside, and we see you line up party persons to come and enter the same forest to do what it is that maybe we were doing and you stopped us, or what our sons and daughters were doing and you stopped them. And they take that away, and we feel the impact. So the best way is to punish you. If the government had been focused and they fought this Galamsey thing forthrightly to make sure that nobody entered, whether he's an MPP, whether he's CPP, whether he's PNC or NDC, they would have gained and not lost, because Ghanaians know what is right and what is correct. That is what they failed to do as a party in all these Galamsey fight. You listen to Mr. Pepra, the small-scale mining person you spoke to via Zoom, and he is right to express their disappointment of not being involved in such a major discussion that happened in Kumasi. But the president clearly must not shift the responsibility. The president knew and made it very clear that he was putting his presidency online. He knew at that time he was a lawyer. He didn't just become a lawyer after 2017. He was a lawyer before 2017 and remained so even after 2017. So he cannot be telling us in Kumasi that he is a lawyer and this is the way he has to do things. He was a lawyer when he said so. And when he said he was putting his presidency online, he knew the size of land that chiefs control and the size of land that government control. You cannot go back and be telling us that, oh, because you control only 20%, it means that you cannot be involved in fighting the illegal activities that go on. Yes, the 80% is owned by chiefs and families and clans and what have you, but whatever is below the land, in other words, the minerals that is found in there, is vested in the president for and on behalf of the people. Even though he doesn't own the land. That is why he has the responsibility. That is why we call him Commander-in-Chief. That is why we don't call you Commander-in-Chief. He is not Commander-in-Chief.
In our homes,
he cannot command. That is why I wanted to bring the thing to a microcosm. When you go to a home, you, Sanda, you cannot abdicate your responsibility in the home. That, oh, because the children are playing around, so if this happens, you are not responsible as the father or as the mother. So the president cannot be running away from his responsibility.
Let me bring in his appointee. Dennis, you would admit that it was a huge faux pas that the president goes to a region whose regional chairman for the NPP is fingered by no less a person than a minister of the Akufo-Addo administration, that he has been engaging in illegal mining. The president reads a very long speech and fails to acknowledge that issue. Is that not an admission of failure and also a pretense on the part of the president?
Haven't you seen I'm sure you're referring to the Akonta mining and the allegations.
Yes, against Chairman Wontumi.
Haven't you seen the lands and natural mineral?
I just referenced that. Exactly. I said that.
So the minister works. The minister works.
So when ministers speak, president don't comment on it.
The minister works on behalf of the president. So there are already actions being taken on that one. What the president commented on was the one that the specific action is yet to be taken because the appointee has been invited. First of all,
you're referring to Bosome from
yes. So that is work in progress. But for the Akonta mining one, I think that the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry has already given an indication of what it is that they are doing about it. So what did you want the president to do? To mention specifically that what?
Okay. When the president went for the bar conference, the Attorney General was there. The Attorney General spoke about Aisha Juan. The president still went ahead and spoke about Aisha
Exactly.
Juan.
So this one, what did you want him to do?
So I wanted the president to make a statement
that what?
In the mouth of the chief executive of the land to say that my party chairman in this region has been accused of undermining the very campaign I have been on, and that I am either asking him to provide proper explanation, or Attorney General pick him up and investigate
The president
him?
speaks and can ask.
Right now, as we speak,
the president,
the
president can only ask his appointees. The president doesn't run the party.
Yes, he doesn't run the party.
Let me. I'm just trying to put it in context.
But the president could have asked the Attorney General.
The president, no, but you see, the president doesn't run the party.
But he could have asked the Attorney General to
I just want to
him.
give you the basis. So that's why the president is able to mention his appointee or his appointees and indicate what actions are being taken. Okay. And if you are asking that he should have mentioned the name of his party chairman and say he's inviting him in his capacity as what? That is the job of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the security agencies, and the Attorney General.
Are you saying that if I am breaking the law today, because I'm not appointee of the president, he cannot tell his Attorney General?
You see, there are several people breaking the laws when it comes to illegal money. Why are you picking only one?
Because this one is a matter of issue.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. The president cannot be making reference to everybody.
No, this is not everybody.
His party chairman, he doesn't control his party chairman, he controls his appointees. The party chairman is not the president's appointee.
I'm not asking him to control his party
So he doesn't
chairman.
instruct him. He cannot call him to his office to tell him anything.
The president
That is why the structures are there to deal with that. I think that.
But the president came in office on a vehicle called the MPP. One of the ties of the MPP is the regional chairman in Ashanti.
That is why I asked
the stronghold of your party.
That is why I asked you in what capacity.
So if you flip the coin, it means then that the president's party does not support his campaign. He's a lone ranger.
You see, you can choose and pick. The point I'm making is that the president cannot be on a platform and mention almost every. There are several people who have been accused, even in this government. It's not just Chairman Wuntumi. So many names have been mentioned in the government. Why are you picking only on that one?
The significance of
there are more significant names that have been mentioned than Ashanti region. There are more significant names. I will not mention it on another platform.
I'm not aware of anybody who is more senior.
I will not amplify it, but I am telling you that there are more that have been mentioned. Why? Are we not here, even on your own platforms? Haven't we mentioned a lot of even ministers and said that they've been seen on video and they've been mentioned on videos, party national executives and all of that?
But you have gone to Ashanti region, you have gone to Kumasi. I am sure Chairman Wuntumi was part of the delegation that met him. I can prove it. A delegation that met him at the airport, possibly worked with him and took him to his hotel room and all of that. He may even have been at the meeting. I don't know. We were at the meeting. Was Chairman Wuntumi at the meeting?
So your point is that once the president
I'm saying that it takes away from the campaign.
It doesn't. It doesn't, because before the president got to Ashanti region, the lands and natural resources,
he doesn't know whether
the lands and natural resources ministry has already issued.
Let him land.
The lands and natural resources ministry had already issued statements on indications of actually what is being done on the issue of Akonta mining. So for me, before the president got to Ashanti region, the government has already taken action on Akonta mining. It's a belated matter. It is being worked on. He doesn't need to say anything about it. Well, if he had said it, it will satisfy you. But I'm sure after him would have mentioned another name that he didn't mention.
Mr. Pepra just said to me on the Zoom there that when the issue of Akonta mine happened, the only thing that was said was that, okay, we withdraw his license or we prevent him from working. But I was also just saying to Kofi Adams that your party appears to be very serious in the fight. So you introduce very stringent laws. Do you not think that beyond the statement issued that says that he should not continue to work in the mine, I can't pronounce the name of the forest, he should also be prosecuted?
I think the statement.
Shouldn't the lands minister have had one line that says, "I have referred him to the Attorney General"?
I think he has said that investigations are ongoing on it. I think he has said that investigations are ongoing on that subject matter.
So that should satisfy.
Yes. I mean,
satisfies you.
Investigations are ongoing. But how? But you just get up and go and arrest Kofi and put him in jail.
He said, you don't put him in jail.
Exactly. Are you aware that the same Chairman Wuntumi, okay, it's public it's on public record that even under the NDC, Chairman Wuntumi didn't start mining under MPP.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm just saying he didn't start mining under MPP.
Yes.
The question is that when they said, you see the way he said it doesn't satisfy. When they found out that he was mining at that time, which I hear that they even bent some excavators and all of that, which jail did they send him? So there are processes. It tells you that there are processes when it comes to even the application of our laws and investigations and prosecutions and evidence adduced, and then before judgment is given. This same person was mining under your government. You found out he was mining. I'm sure when they found out, they went into some investigation. What was the outcome of the investigation? Which jail did they put Chairman Wuntumi then? Because when they speak about Chairman Wuntumi now, it's as if Chairman Wuntumi started mining in 2017. That is false. That is completely false. Chamawun to me has been a miner in this country the same way Mr. Pepra is, the same way Mr. Tonio Ben is, and so many other Ghanaians who are mining, small-scale mining over the period. So if in the course of the small-scale mining, any Ghanaian, whether it's Chamawun to me, whether it's Tonio Ben, whether it's Michael Pepra, are found to be engaging in illegalities, the law must apply. But the way he is saying it is as if the application of the law means that today Miracle says something on air and the police takes him and throws him in jail. There are processes in ensuring that Ghanaians who flout the law are made to face the law. So if they think it's that simple and that's how the law works, which jail did they send Chamawun to me when they found that he was mining and they bent his excavator? Okay. Talk is cheap. And that is why I consistently say that they are just trying to take political advantage of the situation. Mr. Michael Pepra, I've given a video to the production team. When you watch the video, maybe he would say it's not him, but if it's not him, I would apologize.
Okay.
But if it is him, then he has no business being on air, even speaking about the fight against illegal mining. He was in the pit with Abubakar Sadiq and Kweku Buahini. Mr. Michael Pepra, according to the video I've seen, is the one who said.
So my two guys
yes, and it's surprising.
Was in the mining pit. This one was
yes, and I've given the video to your team.
And Mr. Michael Pepra agreed, but except that he said he didn't speak.
Exactly. Michael Pepra is the one who said that politics beto Galamsey.
Wait, the guy on the
yes.
I'll come to him.
Hold on. Now Omungu Galamsey. And the video is with the team.
No problem.
If the video is played and it's not him in the video, I will apologize.
Okay. I'm not going to play the video until I ask him whether he.
But at least maybe if you play, then viewers would see.
What if I play it and he says it's not the one? Then the one.
Oh no, then I'll apologize.
No, what if he
says it's not the one and don't play the video?
What if he sues me?
So if he says it's not the one, no, I'm liable to it.
Yes, but I'm a platform that is giving you the opportunity to say.
Citi TV is not liable. I am liable.
It doesn't work like that in the court. Okay, I'll come to you, but I have a question. Someone has sent me a message saying that per the MPP constitution, the president is a leader of the party. Is that true?
No, the chairman is a leader of the party.
So when you're in office,
the chairman is
the chairman of your party is a leader.
Yes, is the chairman.
At no point is the president the leader.
The chairman is the leader of our party.
At no point is the chairman. Okay, that's fine.
The chairman chairs our national executive committee, chairs our national council.
Okay.
The chairman is the leader of our party.
No problem. Kofi, I'll come to you. I just want to hear from Michael. Michael, is it true that you're in a mining pit? Okay, I'm told I don't have him immediately.
Sandra.
Yes, Kofi.
I was just going to say that how I wished the Kumasi meeting took place near some pits. How I wished. So I would have loved to have found the president, the chiefs and the rest and his MMDCs and the ministers that he assembled move to some of the pits area and then held that meeting, even if for just 10 minutes. So I am not opposed to persons going to pits to be able to address situations. So whether it was Obin, whether it is
no, it's not. No, but it's wrong. It's not just about the pit. I am quoting what they said. I'm not talking about going to the pit. I am quoting what they said. Play the video. I think it would be fair to play the video.
Is miracle. I remember one time when President Rawlings was head of state, they said the World Bank people came down for a meeting. He was in the field. They said there was a need for him to come down to Accra. He said, no, work is in the field. They should bring the person over. They went there. After that engagement, they endorsed the support because he saw if he had come back for a meeting to take place in the comfort of the rooms, he would have gone back there and continued the long process and talk. So I'm not worried about people going to pits.
We are not talking about going to the pits. We are talking about the things they said.
If they want to deal with the situation.
We are talking about the things they said.
But he's already he keeps bringing you back on track.
I have quoted what they said.
I'm saying that clearly. They are so good at cutting a portion and leaving the reality.
Play everything is there. Play everything.
Like what Obin said.
Yes.
That mining, small scale, even the Galamseyers themselves, what they do is just like what the small scale persons do. But just that they have not been licensed. So they do it in an unbridled way. And you cannot hold anybody responsible. You know, we will be reviewing the Auditor General's report for 2020 very soon. In that report, small-scale mining companies that apply for licenses are supposed to post bonds so that if they fail to reclaim, you rely on the bond to do reclamation. It's been found by even the Auditor General that even some of these bonds, some small-scale mining companies are doing without even the bond. So if they fail to reclaim, you don't have anything to rely on to be able to do a reclamation. That is why I think a serious government would have reviewed all these processes. And let me, by the way, just sound a warning to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. I've heard an indication that, they want to begin to prospect for gold and other resources in Volta and Oti region. We beg, at least let's save these two regions. Let's save the water bodies.
You don't want to get gold
in these two regions. Even if we want to get it in a situation where we can look like the Johannesburgs and the other gold rich.
No
the Obuasis.
Very well.
We don't want to look like the Obuasis. Okay. So they should hold on.
Thank you. I have in studio Kofi and Dennis. These are the two politicians. Franklin Kujo is not a politician, at least not in the strict sense of the word.
He's going to Buem. we want him in Buem.
For MPP or NDC?
No, independent.
Independent.
I want him in Parliament.
They will defeat him, Rob. Independent.
Maybe he's not a partisan person. He's a politician. You are a politician also.
Man by nature is a political animal. Frankly,
yes,
these two people here have been holding this country since we returned to democracy in 92. You've been listening to the conversation this morning. So it's accusation and counter-accusation. Some people think that, don't bring the politicians in this. But you can't, because politicians run policy, and policy determines whether the mining pit should be shut down or not. And it determines how we should utilize our gold and whether we should even stop mining at all. Listening to the conversation this morning and following what the president did in Kumasi, is that the right way to deal with this issue? That he's inviting the MMDCs to do the right thing, the traditional authorities to help him. Is this a time we should be asking for help?
Well, ordinarily, there's nothing wrong with having a meeting with your appointees. And indeed, because mining is an integrated process, and it involves land supervised by chiefs, then there's the need to also bring the chiefs along. So there's nothing particularly wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the ensuing conversation, the fact that a lot has been done, but a little has been achieved, is a reason why I would have thought that meeting in Kumasi essentially would have also told us what the KPIs that were given to the various municipalities and their superintendents, and even including chiefs, to report on. Essentially, I would have expected some sort of a report from each MMDCE, basically telling us what the state of mining has been in their area.
It was submitted
and for each MMDC?
Yes, for each of them.
Okay.
For each of the 90, I have it.
See what I said you are the deputy minister for
but that
local
meeting
government.
was held, but that was the meeting that was held behind closed doors.
Yes, there was a the public one, and then afterwards.
All right. So we would be expecting a report on what the state of mining is, and
so will you give us a white
probably.
I think even that report wasn't behind closed doors. In fact, it was shown.
Yeah, but
what? Media.
Yeah, but will you give us a white paper on it?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Okay, so it's not just the state of affairs, but essentially who the culprits or likely culprits are, and indeed what actions have been taken and what failings have been recorded. That would give us some sort of respite that something significant had been achieved from the Kumasi meeting. Otherwise, there'll be another meeting, and there may be other meetings as well, and we'll be going in circles.
And there may be a committee. Probably
and committees, and indeed, since an interministerial committee, look this year, I'm sure you'll be superintending some of these meetings as well. But crucially, that report needs to be seen and let us understand the scale of what we are dealing with and where, should I call it, blame should be apportioned. Because frankly, I'm tired. I suspect many Ghanaians are actually quite tired listening to the banter over this so-called illegal mining. A part of me feels strongly that if these resources were not cannibalized by the law to say that it belongs to the state, and so far the state has done a very bad job at protecting and actually serving as the residue from these resources, what I mean is that the benefit from these resources, then maybe it's about time we change the law to say that, look, if minerals were found on your land, it belongs to you. maybe you will start seeing responsible mining.
So you protect your own land.
Well, exactly. You protect your own land, and then you of course.
Is that something we should consider then? Because that's a new perspective you're bringing.
Well, I suspect. I mean, I'm a libertarian. What do you think?
I know, right?
What do you expect?
You people believe in selling the country.
Not selling the country.
People.
Come on, not at all.
Don't even believe that.
The point is that I think there's not at all. The point is that countries could be run like corporations, really, and it's important that when these conversations had about the responsibility of the state and why the private sector should play a significant role. I think oftentimes people try to make it sound as though when you say countries should be run like corporations, it's anathema. The fact of the matter is that the politician running the country uses our resources to run the country. There's a more reason why they must always present us with a business plan, because the money does not belong to them in the first place. In the same vein, these resources that we are dealing with and the challenges with it must be accounted for on the basis of a proper business plan. I give you the resources because the law says you whatever is found underneath belongs to you. You should account to me properly. Even that they are failing to do. Then you have the externalities you are seeing with people. A part of me, essentially, I mean, a mischievous part of me says that, well, that is what you expect when people do not feel a part of the largesse or the part of the should I say, the resources.
Mm-hmm. The cake. They don't get a piece of the cake
as well. But of course, it will be also responsible to latch onto that viewpoint, especially because it's affecting our environmental resources like water. But I wouldn't be surprised if the law were the other way around, that whatever is found on your land, you keep it, and then you pay some sort of tax to the state. Maybe we should start thinking in those terms. When we do, we would also understand that this whole idea of centralizing mining licensing regime is also partly to blame for the kinds of things we are seeing right now, because as I've been told, I mean, the process involves almost 12 or 13 steps. It used to be more than that. And eventually, the minister has to sign off these concessions. That's the case, right? Right. Now, you can secure a license from the center, no matter how long it takes you, but you may not be responsible for when people start encroaching on your land, because clearly speaking, the process itself is somehow gamed. So for me, I think the meeting at Kumasi, first of all, we should have seen the report, as I said, and the Miracles is telling us that there is a report. I like to see the report, not just what the state of affairs is in terms of the optics, the things we see, the polluted rivers and the wasted lands, but essentially who the potential corporates are, who the beneficiaries are, who the enablers are. And that way, when you do that type of mapping, you begin to solve your problem. It's like doing political economy analysis of a problem. That's how we do it at Imani, to determine how the entry points and how the issue should be solved. And I do not believe that the capabilities of Mr. Miracles will be called into question when such a roadmap is taxed him or is his entity, which is truly interministerial. Because as he himself says, it is the only way of exacting accountability, rather than having individual ministers who probably report at cross purposes. So I think there's a lot that ought to be done, and maybe we'll come to the second part of this, the ramifications of this canker on the cocoa. We are working seriously in the cocoa sector as well.
Hold a thought for me when we come back. Sure. That's Franklin Kujo is president of Imani Africa. You've been sending your messages through. Let me read some of them. From Positive Change in Medina, he says COVID-19 money from the IMF loan was $1 billion, $430 million from World Bank, 10 million cedis from Bank of Ghana, another $903 million from the World Bank. Now do the calculations and see how much money this government got out of COVID-19 plus all the COVID levies slapped on us. And yet they have mismanaged the economy, and they are not even ashamed of telling us their IMF is a holy one. Very sad to be a Ghanaian. Side note, he says, please tell Dennis that to make any of his wares trustworthy, he should go back to Ekropon and fix the big field he helped the MP destroy. That's from Kwabena Oslo. Do you know about that? I don't know. He said that
we haven't been MC Ekropon for a very long
2 years,
time.
for more than 2 years. So he said that you helped the MP to destroy a field. I'm not sure what.
I'm not aware.
You promised to construct maybe any of the projects. Maybe you took graders there to go and grade some.
I am not aware.
No problem. Umaru Adolf, Hitler and the Nazi party used carbon monoxide to exterminate Jews and eventually killed himself with cyanide. Today, the president has allowed illegal miners deplete our forests, polluted our air with carbon, our water with cyanide, and further with mercury, which is killing us. My point is, President Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP are worse than Hitler and the Nazi party by murdering its own citizens. Enough is enough. I'm not sure. It's not. This one says, it's from Jones Aduboy in Labone. He says, I wonder what more evidence is the president looking for. Even as he was addressing DCE's massive destruction of our forests was ongoing. Numerous of our appointees were caught in various infractions. You cleared them. What more evidence, Mr. President? This one from K in Accra says, I vehemently disagree with the stance of Mr. Orbin that political actors should be on top of maintaining our natural resources when it comes to Galamsey. The political actors only think about votes and they heavily influence their decisions. Mark says, indiscriminate siting of properties are more devastating than Galamsey. Do you see flooding happening? Let's talk about that as well. This one from Moses in Wejagbawe says, the most terrifying thing is the private armies we saw guarding the site at Akunta mining, and another one involved in the shooting incident in the eastern region. It should remind us of the activities of drug cartels operating in Mexico and those areas. The president is breeding a monster which upon maturity can endanger our democracy and consume us all. The president must sit up and honor his pledge to protect all of us. BB from North Key says, we have been joking with this Galamsey thing. If you go to these areas, it is happening in the open or along roads. You see police and military pickers parked providing them with protection. You see heavily built guys who claim to be working with the national security carrying heavy guns providing security. This one from Otuo in Abeka says, the government should show seriousness in dealing with the kingpins and stop fooling us with the arrest of the mere laborers. By the way, where are the 500 excavators? So long as these issues of official complicity remain unsolved, people will not take government seriously. You can also let me know what you think. Send your message to the number we have displayed on the screen, or if you're listening to us on radio, it should be 0549-986-996, and the world will hear what you think. This is The Big Issue on Citi TV and Citi FM. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. When we come back, we'll connect Galamsey to cocoa. Cocoa is where we are supposed to be getting the money from, apart from gold. And yet we are told that the gold is affecting the cocoa. There's a nexus there. We'll try and break that nexus and see how we can deal with it. Please stay. You're welcome back to The Big Issue on Citi FM and Citi TV. We are not done with illegal mining and Galamsey yet, but let me introduce another leg to the discussion. Government has pegged the producer price for cocoa at 800 cedis per bag of 64 kg effective Friday, October 7 for the 2022-2023 crop season. This depicts a 21% increase from 10,560 per ton to 12,800 cedis per ton. Ghana last increased its farm gate price in 2020 from 515 cedis to 660 cedis. So what it means is that we used to sell cocoa for 515 cedis per bag. We've moved it to 660. Now we have moved it to 800. But not all farmers are happy. The Citi News' Niaiko Okan has a wrap of the story.
Has been one of the major backbones of Ghana's economy. As a second leading world cocoa producer, it has registered an annual minimum cocoa beans output of 700,000 metric tons since 2012. The 2020-2021 crop season recorded an estimated 1.1 million metric tons in cocoa beans production. To finance the purchase of cocoa beans for the 2022-2023 crop season, the Ghana Cocoa Board signed a $1.1 billion cocoa syndicated loan on Monday with an expectation of hitting an 850,000 metric tons after missing last year's target. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Efriyi Akoto, on Wednesday announced a 21% increase in the producer price of cocoa from the previous 660 Ghana cedis to 800 Ghana cedis for the 2022-2023 crop season.
We are pleased to announce that the government of Ghana has increased the producer price of cocoa by 21% from 10,560 cedis per metric ton to 12,800 cedis per metric ton. The producer price represents 89.99% of the net FOB value. This figure translates into 800 cedis per bag of 64 kilogram gross weight and takes effect from Friday, 7th October 2022. A 21% rise in the producer price of cocoa is a testament to government's resolve to ensure farmers earn a decent income and make cocoa farming lucrative. Government will continue to implement initiatives to build a robust, resilient, and sustainable cocoa industry where cocoa farmers and their communities will thrive.
Speaking to journalists, a representative of the cocoa farmers on the Ghana Cocoa Board, Nana Obeng Akrofi, says although the increase is inadequate, farmers would manage the price adjustment.
Asking for more, but according to the price of the world price, I think it's okay.
How much were you expecting to get?
Well, about 1,000 cedis, but according to the world price, I think it's not as good for us. You are going to explain it to them. I am a leadership farmer. I will organize my farmers and explain every critical point to them, and then they will understand.
But at a time where farmers are giving out their lands to illegal miners, is this amount quite substantial to help?
Well, how you compare the Galamsey to it's not good. But we cannot do anything. The world price is too low. You cannot give any farmer a very high price than world price. So I think it's good.
How much would you have suggested for it to have been increased?
Oh, 1,000 cedis, it's okay. But the day is not there.
You're welcome back. So that is the sound clip by Citi News' Ni Aikwe Okain, helping us understand what the current issues are. So let's connect it. Cocoa gold. The cost itself, the farmers not particularly excited. Let me speak to one of them on the line. He's having to join us by the telephone. Nana Obuadie Boatin Bonsu is president of Concerned Farmers Association. Nana, you're welcome to The Big Issue.
Oh, my pleasure, brother.
What do you make of the announcement by the minister?
Thank you very much. By the way, just forgetting one of my titles, that is Farmer General, Nana Obuadie.
Sorry, say that again. Farmer General.
Farmer General, yes. That is
how many farms do you have?
I have farms across the country.
Oh,
not
so
in Ghana, but even in Ivory Coast and Nigeria.
Have you been Farmer of the Year before? Have you been National Best Farmer before?
I've won an award as a National Best. That is a young entrepreneur and agriculture to go.
Okay, frankly, I should call you Farmer. I was going to debate and prove to you that you cannot be Farmer General, but frankly, says I should let you be. So Farmer General, what do you make of the new plan with cocoa? They cost 800 cedis. There's a view that our cocoa bags will soon start, crossing the borders to Ivory Coast because they sell it for a slightly higher figure, 850 cedis.
Yes, thank you very much, and then good morning to your viewers. Looking at what is happening on the ground, I will say a very big thank you to you, and then the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Fiyekoto. He is the only person to listen. He is the only minister that listens to the farmers. And then anytime that we put up a proposal or maybe a challenge, he quickly reacts to it. What about this price? Surprise that they allow the minister to announce it. Because when expecting the minister to announce it, Cocoa Board CEO should have come out to announce it. The price price of cocoa, that was not what the farmers themselves or we wanted. Then we want 1,500 per bag. And the 1,500 per bag, government has to take 250 Ghana cedis for the welfare, and then 1,250 will be in the pocket of a farmer. Let's increase. I'm speaking to you. If it's going to a place from it, it is one thing. If it has coming of, let's say, 5 or 10, how much are you paying for a day? How many times are they going? That is a challenge. 2, transportation has increased. And we can't compare ourselves to Cote d'Ivoire. Each and every day, when they talk about cocoa price, they said, look at Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire has this price, and look at we in Ghana. They are doing a lot of things for us. But at the end of the day, we are complaining. Fine, we still complain. But let us ask, if that living in Cote d'Ivoire and then Ghana, are they the same? How much is a bottle of beer or a fish in Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana? And the transportation wise. So all these things have been put together. That is why we consider and realize that at the end of the day, if the government come out with 1,500, it will be better. Let us ask Cocoa Board. You were supposed to announce the cocoa price on the cocoa day that was on the 1st October, but they delayed. The cocoa day was just in vain. Those that the interview that we played earlier on, those that they spoke on behalf of the chief farmer, that if you own a farm, that doesn't make you a farmer. Cocoa Board dealing with those that they own farm owners, but they are not dealing with real farmers. When you pay selling that better or whatever people doing a cocoa just to come and put up their clothes and sit down as if they are representing farmers, you are just ridiculing yourself. At the end of the day, things have been so hard for the farmers. We did that at the discussion of community challenges. We had various of our challenges. We confronted it to the Cocoa Board. There was no response even to approach. We got it to the minister. He listened to us, and then things went on. So when we came out with a price of 1,500, we were expecting the Cocoa Board just to invite the SUs to sit me down. Fine, your price is good, 1,500. But at the end of the day, government has this 800 because of the Ukraine and Russian war. That has been the topic of the day, so we use that. So you hold on with it. In that way, make sure that you be okay. Don't be still. In viral about a man that has been sold cocoa to a Galamsey just to buy all because of 30,000 Ghana cedis. And this man has been found for 10 good years. So all you know, the family wants a building, a house. Because in Ghana, they don't want to put in the way they want to go back. We ask of your building, we don't ask of your money. So at the end of the day, we the farmers, we are proud of owning a house more than even getting money to us. So it will be a very beautiful and laughable idea for Cocoa Board to introduce even this 800 and at the same time telling me that we are going to put down a housing project within a cocoa area for you.
Nana,
so at the end of the day, hello.
Let me be clear. I'm a bit lost. So you are celebrating the minister but attacking Cocoa Board, and you are not happy with the figure that is announced. I don't get it. What point are you trying to say make?
We are not compliant. So I cannot
sorry, your line is breaking, Nana. If you can.
It is raining seriously here.
Oh, sorry. Where are you?
Yes, I'm at the farm.
Oh, you're really a farmer general.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say, but what is really happening now? The 800 cannot listen. So we're pleading with the government just to give us other and if we have them come out with that and challenge the farmers. Everybody does not.
I'm terribly sorry. I have to take him off the line. The line is a bit tricky for us. That's Nana Obuade Boatin Bonsu, president of the Concerned Farmers Association, a.k.a. Farmer General. We cannot continue the conversation because the line is a bit tricky and he says it's raining where he is. And so let me come back in studio. Franklin, you said you did some work on cocoa. So the work you did, what the government has announced through the Minister of Agric, is that something that you believed should be the way so that based on the permutations you've made, that would shore up our industry, the cocoa industry?
Well, we are caught between a rock and a hard place, really. Don't forget that because of COVID, there was a glut in the production of in the production and indeed the sale of cocoa for almost 2 years. What it meant was that the buyers internationally decided that they were just going to give the price that they want to basically buy. So it's like a taker's market, really. So somehow the conversations surrounding the living income differential, should I say top up of about $400 in itself was some sort of a mixed blessing at the time. Otherwise, the terminal price, which Ghana typically would want to see an increase, obviously did not happen, simply because of that conversation around the COVID and how the buyers internationally decided that they were not going to vary anything because of COVID. I mean, you'd have expected, but the fact of the matter is that COVID really is not going to impact the cocoa chocolate industry anyway. But they decided they were not going to budge at all. So maybe one of the reasons why the current pricing regime looks the way it is, it's also because of the terminal price that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire has been asking for some sort of premium, which they are not getting. I think what is happening also is, and maybe the reasons why Farmer General is complaining, has to do with the should I say the overhead cost of administering the cocoa industry by Cocoa Board. I mean, Cocoa Board will tell you that they spend about $800 per ton on themselves. If a ton is about it's around $2,300 right now. Eventually, what they say is that they give the farmer essentially about $1,200 per ton. So they spend the rest on themselves. Maybe that's where the conversation ought to sit. Question is, what Cocoa Board says it spends on itself, is it value for money? Do they need to spend that much? I think these are questions that need to be asked. Even though the bigger conversation about the particular premium that our international buyers ought to pay must also be discussed. I mean, it's a conversation that must be had, because we certainly think that buyers can actually up their game and probably pay a bit more.
Frank, when it comes to the cost of crude oil, we have a group of countries called, is it OPEC?
Yes.
They decide how much we sell crude for. If there was an OPEC in the cocoa world, it would be led or spearheaded by Ghana and Ivory Coast. How come we don't dictate to the?
Well, we tried, didn't we? And that's what led to the living income differential. What's it called? What is called the LID of an extra $400 per ton. Question is, was that enough? Well, it could have been more, but essentially because the cocoa industry itself is becoming, there are all kinds of scientific improvements. Some people are now using substitutes, and the substitutes are in the chocolate, in the making of chocolate. So what it means is that they can call off your bluff, really, and that you can't do much except to take.
So even though we produce the raw material, we don't have control.
Especially in the case of Ghana, where we produce the much loved cocoa beans, which is the most revered.
If we decided to hoard it and sell it bit by bit, can we make money?
Unfortunately, because it's a futures market and you need the money as a country to shore up your city, calling off the bluff in that regard, when they can equally start looking for alternatives, they can easily do that. Already they are investing heavily in other parts of the world, in Latin America, to come up with substitutes. So our cocoa industry really has sustainability issues. And if you add the likes of Galamsey and the rest, you are in real trouble. Okay. It's very important that we take these things seriously.
I wanted to come back to you.
I think that the Farmer General has a point when he talks about upping up some of whatever they get. But that conversation must be had within the the confines of the administrative overheads of Cocoa Board. I've seen running Cocoa Board, and that's a conversation I suspect Cocoa Board is be willing to have.
Let me go back to him. He's hopefully on a better line now. Former General, is it your position that Cocoa Board should not be in the middle there at all, or like Franklin is thinking, the cost of running Cocoa Board is possibly even higher than what it's supposed to be doing for farmers? Is that a position you agree with?
Yes, thank you very much. The whole system, when you own a farm and you are not the real farmer that you are farming, you don't have a skill of it. So even when they elevate you or you get to a position, there are some things that you cannot even speak on it because you don't have the skill of it. That is because talking about the pricing and the rest, if those that they are in position of Cocoa Board, they are farmers themselves, I think they will not be given this kind of price. Let us ask them, even the watchman of Cocoa Board, how much is the salary? Monthly salary is bonuses and the rest. And this Cocoa Board organization take up a budget of billions and billions of dollars and pounds. And when this money comes, where does it go? We, the farmers, have the peanuts. Look at our schools. Our kids don't get a good school. There's no clinic, proper clinic within our territory. It is like we are just slaves working for some people just to enjoy. That is what is happening. Because even those are the board of Cocoa Board, if really they are farmers, I don't think they'll be coming out with such prices. Because I earlier heard an interview with some people and then they were saying that, 800 is okay. How can 800 be okay? He is a political farmer. He just owns a farm. But he's not a political farmer. He's not on the field. So you don't know what goes in and out. As I'm speaking to you, there is an, illegality and expiring cocoa, a whole cocoa, which the government has spent money to buy seedlings for farmers to get something and government to get something, then to use it to develop this country. At the end of the day, there's an excavator in it destroying all.
Two things. You mentioned an excavator. Two things. Is it true that our cocoa would be sent to Ivory Coast for sale by farmers who want to get more money there? And two, how extensive is the selling of cocoa farmlands for Galamseyers or gold miners?
Thank you very much. This is a national security issue. Talking about smuggling of cocoa to the neighboring countries. I heard that the farmers threatening of doing that. So I quickly went to Jabuso. I just returned from Jabuso yesterday to the farm. And I met the Jabuso chief and I told him that this is the price that they said we should Ghana City. No, it's not good. We don't have it. We don't want it like that. But at the end of the day, I've heard that some farmers want to do smuggling of their cocoa to the various towns at the border. So you being a chief at Jabuso, try your best and then engage some of the chiefs within the border town, talk to them so that they also educate the farmers there, so that they will not sell their cocoa across borders, because we are still engaging the minister so that they can come out with a very good price for us to live better. That is what we are doing. And this job is the job of Cocoa Board. But we are doing is spending our money and the whole resources. Good. Another point. The cocoa, if the farmer will sell his cocoa to a Galamsey or for any other thing, then one, the wife is dead, or he has a funeral home, or the kid wants to go to university or secondary school, or the farmer needs money to do something. Cocoa Board don't have anything for the farmer. Because as a farmer, I was at one of the operations, and then a farmer wife was dead. And then the land is 5 acres cocoa land. And the farmer is selling it 2,000 Ghana, 3,000 Ghana cedis. That is only 30 million. 3,000 for 5 acres. And I said, wow, no, I will not accept it. So I have to pay for the farmer to stay with cocoa farm, and to do a funeral and everything to enjoy this cocoa. So this is what is happening. There's some pretty things that makes the cocoa farmer sell his farmland for the Galamseyers or any other thing. But the real farmer that knows what goes in and out of the cocoa would never sell his cocoa farm to a Galamsey.
Very well.
But some of the land, they do impose because they're giving concessions.
Thank you.
Global award-winning cocoa farm was given a concession of the office of the president for them to destroy the whole thing. Actually, I went in to stop them. Just so they went ahead. They went to the Mineral Commission and systematic. Yes, so they wanted to do it. I stopped them. And now the land is safe. So there's some illegality that is happening that they are saying that there are big men behind it. So that big men behind it, they are the people that they are destroying our cocoa industry, they are destroying our land and the rest. It is only the Minister of Food and Agriculture that is the one saving the situation. If it is not that man, like there will be no one single cocoa tree in this country.
You really trust the Minister for Agri that much?
Yes, all because when cocoa farmers were in crisis in the Western North region, it's just a test message that I gave the man. And that very week, a report came, and then it sent another thing for the people, so that it will be okay.
Okay, very well. Nana Obuadie Boatin Bonsu, President Concerned Farmers Association, Farmer General, as he wants to be referred to as the one that was just speaking to there. Let me come back and say, Kofi Adams, your region has cocoa. You said you don't want the exploration of gold to happen, but you are doing cocoa. This new figure that has been announced, does it make your farmer better? And does it discourage smuggling? That's the issue. And two, I would be happy to also hear about the money that has come in the cocoa syndicated loan, because it's also part of it. And maybe that's something I should be throwing back to Franklin about what that would mean to our CD and the economy generally.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We must discuss smuggling and pricing and the cocoa industry from different angles. It is not enough just to announce the producer price. It is much more important to make the funds available for the farmer to benefit from. If you announce the producer price and I go sell my cocoa to a licensed buying company and I don't get my money, the next ones, I will not take it there, I will smuggle it out, especially when the price is better there.
The money is not Gina Hoji. They don't collect there and then.
For so many of them are even still owed the previous sales.
So what's the use of the syndicated loan then? Is that not the purpose? You get the money, go and buy.
Well, unfortunately, that's not what is happening. And that explains why we sometimes ask questions on the floor of the house. And I kept asking the Minister for Food and Agri, who has now responsibility over Cocoa Board, about what plans they are putting in place to make sure that this does not repeat itself. In 2021, it happened. 2022, it repeated itself. And I believe it's going to happen in this 2023 that we are.
So the farmers are owed.
So the farmers are owed. The licensed buying companies are owed. And that is why many of us are asking questions. Last year, that is 2021-2022 crop season, Cocoa Board went for 1.3 billion. To purchase 850,000 metric tons of cocoa beans. They ended up, what they did by close of the season was about 700,000. But as we speak, licensed buying companies are owed. You went for 1.3 billion to buy 850,000. You bought about 700,000. You owe licensed buying companies. You come to Parliament again for approval. Parliament give you a ceiling of 1.3 billion again because you were going for the same quantities, 850,000 metric tons. You get out there because of maybe mismanagement. You were only able to receive 1.13 billion. Now you still come to tell us that, you estimate to buy 850,000 metric tons. Right from the word go, you are going to have problems because you have increased the producer price. Mm-hmm. Unless the increment is just because they have messed up the economy and the currency. And so they feel like, okay, 1.13 billion, with the way we are mismanaging the economy, the cedi is going to continue to depreciate. It's depreciated just within this year over 60%. That it will continue this trend of depreciation, and then we may hit somewhere 18 or 15 cedi to a dollar, and therefore the 1.13 billion
can buy the same volume. So you forecast that if all the things being equal, that volume that they are hoping, the 850,000 should not be targeted. It should even be like 500,000.
Well, if you went for 1.3 billion and you didn't buy, and you got 750,000 instead of 850,000, And the license buying companies are still owed.
And now you have 1.1 billion.
And now you have 1.13 billion, and you are estimating to buy 850,000. Then how are you going to pay the farmers? And how are you going to pay the license buying companies?
Do you know if they failed to buy 850 because there was no produce to buy, or they didn't have enough?
Why do you owe the license buying companies?
So there should be excess money to pay them.
So there should be excess money. There should be excess money.
And do you also know whether this new 1.1 billion is what will be used to pay the debt, the existing debt, or they will take care of that from
Well, I don't know how they are going to pay the license buying companies who have landed their cocoa is being sold and the rest, and they haven't been paid. And by extension, because of that, some farmers who sold to these license buying companies have also not received their money. Because the license buying companies, though they are giving seed money, and then they are expected to also raise facilities from the banks to be able to continue the purchases. But if you have government itself borrowing heavily from Bank of Ghana, you are extricating these small business persons, the license buying companies, from having access to credit. Because the banks will want to sell bonds to government bonds or buy government bonds instead of what? Lending to license buying companies. So government's own policy is creating problems for these license buying companies. And when they manage to land these cocoa beans and it is sold, you don't pay them.
As a House of Parliament, you approve this loan, right?
Yes, of course. We approve. We give them a ceiling of 1 point.
You don't question what happened to the last...
Well, that's what I'm telling you. We keep questioning. You ask questions, you don't get answers. There are a number of questions related to cocoa and cocoa purchases and pricing and what have you that have been advertised, and we are waiting for such questions to be scheduled for the minister to come and answer. There are a number of questions. Myself, I have a question for the minister, one related to cocoa, one related to machinery. Answers he himself provided previously somewhere around February, and inform us that they have imported machines and distributed. Now I asked him to show us locations of the machines. He said to the best of his knowledge, they have not imported any machines. So I'm waiting for him, because he lied to us in Parliament, and that's enough ground to refer him to privileges committee. I hope he doesn't...
This is the NDC MP, you like the privileges committee?
He doesn't run out before the time is due, since he's interested in being a flag bearer of the party. But clearly, there's a problem with the pricing. If you look at the cost of fertilizer that the farmers have to apply on their cocoa farms, the fertilizer prices have gone up heavily. The chemicals that they have to, it's gone up heavily.
But Cocoa Board is supporting them.
You see, that's the talk. How many persons are really benefiting from this support? This fertilizer supporting that they are talking about, how many farmers are really getting? You put out a policy there, beautiful, planting for food and jobs, fertilizer for this, but then the minister comes to tell us later that, donkeys are smuggling the fertilizer, because it doesn't get to the farmer. It doesn't get to the farmer. Cocoa Board sits and say, we are supporting farmers, we are subsidizing the fertilizer, but the fertilizer is not getting to them. Free seedlings is not getting to them. The so-called other chemicals is not getting to them. So many of them, if you wait, that you are waiting for the so-called subsidized chemicals, your cocoa will be infected with all kinds of what? Akate and the rest will come. You have to go to the open market and buy at an expensive rate, just so to be able to save your farms. That's the reality. And that is what the Farmer General is talking about. That we have political farmers and we have real farmers. So the real farmers are feeling something different, and the political farmers are feeling other thing. And that we need to really deal with the reality that the farmer is facing. And you cannot do this. You cannot do this.
Dennis, I don't know. Do they farm cocoa in your municipality?
No, but of course there are some. Not on a large scale.
Okay.
If you go to Mangwasi area, you go to the Tinkon area.
Okay.
Yes, I mean not the type that will compare to the Wasa and
But there's a possibility that
cocoa farmers in our
these
area.
cocoa farmers in your area may carry a sack of cocoa and take it to Abidjan and go and sell because of the price that we are offering them here. That's one thing.
His side,
maybe not my area.
It is
because
those
the borderline.
On the borderline.
By the time you get to the border, you might as well have to.
For 50 cedi. But still, I mean, considering that the border side also produces heavily, I think with the western region we produce a lot of cocoa there. Yes. So if they were to think of doing that, it's going to naturally affect us, ultimately affect us. What considerations did we have in making this decision?
Western, North, Hartford, all
along
region, Volta, they are all along border.
But except that they won't send it to Togo. From Otirizin, there's no point sending cocoa to Togo.
Why? There are some farms that you actually have to enter Togo before you go to your farms. You remember when they were doing registration and the Electoral Commission have to seek permission. That time we were in COVID, there were restrictions, they have closed border that to get to some community, they have to seek permission because you have to enter.
Some people wash. Before you wash their clothes in Ghana and pour the water.
If you come to my constituency, that's what it is. To get to some of the farmlands, you have to enter Togo. Some people are actually living in Togo.
Because
that is why when people say artificial balance, when people say that they are living there, so they are not Ghanaians, we won't allow them to register because of the rivers that we have.
We are talking about
rivers that we have.
You are thinking about and it's difficult for them to cross that scenario and bring
when they manage to cross, they live in Togo and farm on Ghanaian lands.
But there is evidence of Togolese coming to register in that side.
We are talking about
we're talking about electoral rule later. Let's talk about cocoa.
Omar, for me, when it comes to the farmers and the cocoa issues, I'm always on the side of the farmer.
Not on the government side.
Always on the side of the farmer.
Headline. Denis Abuaji ditches government.
However you put it, I'm on the side of the farmer.
Okay.
Because I have been to the cocoa farm with my grandfather. I mean, he was a headmaster. Okay. But those days, farming was like a side, gig for almost all our grandfathers. So we used to travel from Latte and go to Infrano, which is around the Sohum area. And we live on the farm for weeks, especially during the long vacation. And I have seen how cocoa farmers struggle, and when I grew up, in fact, it was when I actually grew up and got to see the figures that I realized, this is not, a venture that I would love to go into. But growing up, I thought it was such a big deal because they used to say cocoa time now, so, it's the cocoa farming season and they will go and sell the cocoa and they will come and litigate. And then when the money gets finished, they will pause the litigation for the next. So it was a big deal then. But I think that we need to do whatever we can to improve on the prices that we are giving our cocoa farmers without any debates, without any argument. Our cocoa farmers should be given a lot more than we are giving them now.
Even if the economy can't support it.
That's why if the economy can't support it, it's another subject matter. But I am saying that we should always be sure that we've stretched ourselves to the limit. We should always be sure that we've stretched ourselves to the limit. If we get to the upper limit, then there's nothing else that can be done about it. There's nothing. But if we are not there at that limit, then we should stretch a bit more. Because tomorrow, these farmers, it is their money that we are using to asphalt the Adabraka cantonments and all of that.
People say that's even a misplaced priority.
In fact, recently when we're discussing property rates, frankly, when we're discussing property rates, we said some DCEs actually made some strong argument that, I'm in a cocoa farming area. I don't have the high-rising, big value properties. So when it comes to how much I even collect in property rate, it's very small. But it is our sweat and our money that we bring to the urban areas to come and asphalt their roads and add value to the lands in the area, which brings value to the property that is in the area. That reflects in the property rate that should be collected. So they are recommending that after we've collected property rates from the various districts, we should take a percentage to the center, which will be pushed to the rural communities. No, I am just saying what they are saying.
What can be done?
What they are saying.
Common fund that we should look at.
No, that's also another argument. That is also another argument.
To favor such districts and leave the property rate to their
No, but that is also another argument.
One of the district assembly common.
I support you on that.
Some should be one of.
I support you on that. I agree with you on that. So it only tells us that the farmers in the rural areas are working so hard. We tap into their resources. We bring to the urban centers to develop and bring value to ourselves, and then we continue to push them to the background. So for me, anything that has to do with more resources to the rural communities, anything that has to do with more resources to the rural districts, I am for it. With a common fund, the formula should be reviewed. The rural district should probably be getting more, the urban areas should be encouraged to collect more from whatever they have, and then they can live on it and all of that. These are arguments on the side, but the farmers are really suffering. If you look at the energy and the efforts they put in and how much is given to them, they've been moved, I think, in the last 6 years from 450 cedis to 800 Ghana cedis as we have it now. That is progress. That is close to about 100%, increase. It's good, but obviously they are asking for about 1,500 cedis. If you look at our history, almost every year that we have the cocoa season, the farmers always have their own expected price, and then government gives them up to a certain point. If they move to the point where we can really give the farmers how much it is that they feel
and what they deserve, maybe, and what we also can.
And what they deserve.
Please hold the thought. This is the big issue on Citi TV and Citi FM. I know you're not done. I'll come back. When I come back, I would want Franklin to help me do the number analysis. So this 1.1 billion that has come through, what does it even mean for the cedi? Because I haven't seen the cedi in a long time. The dollar is the only one that is showing its face. We'll talk about that. We'll do that connection. Plus, I'm interested in how Galamsey would affect our cocoa industry. We're hearing of cancer and all of that, and the fact that our cocoa will be rejected because of mercury and all of that. Even an allegation that there's a deliberate plan to spoil our cocoa by some people in the Far East so that they would also now start producing cocoa. Please stay with us. You're welcome to the big issue on Citi TV and Citi FM. Dennis, you were landing before I took the break.
I was saying that the farmers, I am sure, irrespective of government not being able to meet their expectations, are quite, they are okay than it was in the past. Because if you were getting 450 and you're now getting 800 Ghana cedis, you're
getting 6 something.
It was 450 6 years ago.
Yes.
Before you moved to 600.
So you are comparing to the NDC time?
No.
But let's ask, how much was a gallon? How much was a gallon of petrol? No. If you want to compare, how much was a gallon of petrol? A whole gallon was 14 cedis.
Okay, I've heard you.
Today, a gallon is over 70 cedis.
Okay.
So let's do those comparisons and see whether the farmer has made worse off. Let's check the chemicals.
Let me hear that. Don't use 6 years
I'm not going to digress. I'm using 6 years and I'll use 4 years.
No. Just use
6 years ago it was 450.
Compare your record against your record.
6 years
Don't
ago
compare your record against NDC.
6 years ago it was 450. 4 years ago or 3 years ago it was 660, and now it is 800. I think it shows a certain level of progression, but I still think that government needs to still do more for our dear farmers. I think they are really contributing a lot to our economy. And I mean, it's on their back that we're able to go and borrow some 1.3 billion, all the billions of dollars to talk about. And you can imagine what it's even going to do to our currency stabilization within the short or medium term as it's coming in. So really, we cannot downplay their effort. But quickly, it's important for us to also know that government has also done a lot in the cocoa sector, and the farmers acknowledge that. Their yield per acre or per hectare is improved because of government's intervention. The hard pollination program, the pruning program that government brought in, the rehabilitation program, government cut a lot of farms down and gave them new cocoa seedlings, almost about 144 million cocoa seedlings, which has led to a cocoa tree that was giving you about 20 pods, it's now giving you about 200 to 300 pods. What it means is that if about 3 years ago, you like me to use our record, if about 3 years ago or 6 years ago, your farm was giving you 10 bags of sacks, because of government's investments in your farm, you're not doing about times 2 more, 20 bags, 30 bags. That is more money for you. So probably government is giving you 800 Ghana cedis for a sack, 62 kg of cocoa. But now, you are going to be making the 62 kg times 2. That is 1,600.
You have more sacks now.
Exactly. And that is government investment.
Okay.
That is government.
So that's a punch.
Where's those sacks that is not showing in the volumes that we buy?
Okay, let's look at the
If you claim we hit 1 million and now we are dropping to 700,000, when you yourself estimate to even buy it, so where's the yield?
I think it's a counter punch, and I'm not going to.
The way where's the yield he's talking about?
No. In fact, pretend it's not Kofi who is behaving that way. You said that
can I
there's less money now, but more sacks.
Yes, and we are producing
Kofi is
more.
saying that
we are producing
the more sacks are not reflecting.
It's reflected. In fact,
where is it reflecting? In 700,000 metric tons instead of 1 million.
You know what?
Kofi, let me ask you.
The peak of our investment of our investment came in the 2020-2021 production. Where we did about 1.1 million. You know, cocoa has a certain cycle. Cocoa, if you're a cocoa farmer, you understand. You can you put in a certain practice. It yields after 2 or 3 years. Then it goes down. Then it comes back again. That is how cocoa farming is.
No
you can ask the cocoa farmers.
No problem.
But
the point is that
really our investment yielded results. We did over 1.1 million. That is the historic production we've done in the 2021 farming season.
The man is not a cocoa farmer.
I am a cocoa farmer. Who told you I have been living on a cocoa farm at Infrano, and I'm telling you this. Why are you telling me I'm not a cocoa farmer?
Then it means then you are peddling falsehood. Then you are peddling falsehood.
Would you control honorable?
No, then you are peddling falsehood.
No, I want to watch the two of you check with each other.
No, if
I cannot,
he is peddling falsehood.
No, you see, I've never entered a cocoa farm before. The
No,
two of you.
so you are not peddling falsehood.
If it was cattle farming, we're discussing.
Would you let him stop?
No, he's saying that. So he's questioning your figures.
I am telling you that 1.1. Check it. That is what we did in 2021.
Okay, Kofi, and you don't agree with that? Do you have a contrary?
That is what we did. Check.
You see, if you claim the 1.1 was as a result of intervention, Umaru, what type of intervention? Positive, cultural practice that gives you 1.1 in 2021.
But he has explained that.
Please listen to me. And by the next year, you drop to 700,000.
But he also explained that it's a season. Cocoa has a way it behaves.
That is not true. What he's saying,
Umaru,
that trend cannot account for more than 450,000.
No problem. So Kofi, you hold on.
It can't.
Dennis, so you're saying that the graph was so high and all of a sudden it comes down.
2012-2013 we did 835,000.
2012-2013.
2013-2014 we did 897,000. 2014-2015 we did 740. Ask him why.
Which year is this?
2013 we did 835. I'm just going to use his own argument. 835.
2013.
2012-2013 we did 835. Then 13-14 we did 897. Then 14-15 we dipped to 740. Why?
Kofi, how did you come down?
After 2 years of continuous increment. Not where you have.
But that's what he said.
No. But he's saying that they had 1.1 in 2020. He should give us the 2020. No, let him give us the 2020.
Can I proceed? So if he stops,
let him give us the trend that shows a consistent increase.
Let
him continue. He shouldn't stop. He shouldn't stop.
Can you give me the trend all the way to
2021?
Yes, and you understand.
I want to see something.
So 2012-2013, 835.
We've heard that one. Go to 2014.
What is this? Where are you going?
You're not helping.
Continue from 2014.
It's a trend, so I want to
he wants to repeat for emphasis.
No problem.
I won't be guided by him. I'll repeat.
That was Mills Muhammad.
2013, 835. 2013-2014, 897. It dipped. 2014-2015 to 740. Then it went up. 2015-2016, 778. Then it went up.
But still below 800.
Yes. 2016-2017, 969. Then it went down.
2016 what?
2017.
969. This was Mahama.
Yes.
How can 969?
Then it went down.
How can 969?
Can you please let me?
No, it went down.
It went down 2017-2018, 905.
Yes.
Then it went down 2018-2019, 812. Then it went down 2019-2020, 771. Then it went up 2019-2020, 1047. Then it went down.
So over 1,000.
Yes. So if you look at the trend, you realize that in some years,
but it's a fluctuating thing. So
in some years, it's a 2 years low.
Okay, let me hear him, Dennis. Wait.
I'll
hear him and I'll come back.
So when am I ever going to finish?
I'll give you time. Don't worry. Relax.
He quoted the 2012 figures, 850. He quoted 2013. It remained around 850. He quoted 2014. It remained just around the same figure.
2014 came down 700.
Yeah, but I mean, it remained around the same. Around the same. The drop is not so significant. So you can allude to the normal volume differential.
So what's different about
then come to 2021, 1.1 something. Then 2022, it drops to 700,000.
So you think that's too huge?
2022. We are in 2022. It hasn't even ended.
Please.
We are not even going to. We are in 2022.
You see,
Which
crop
2022?
season, that's why I said he's not a cocoa farmer.
Are we not in 2022?
That's what I'm saying. He's not a cocoa farmer because he doesn't understand.
No, he doesn't even understand what he's talking about.
No,
Which 2022 are you referring to?
Let me finish.
It's enough. Can I make my point?
That is why I'm saying no. Umaru Sanda.
So your point is that the reduction is so huge.
Cocoa seasons is not January to December. That is why when 1st October came and they had Cocoa Day and they could not announce the producer price, everybody was worried.
Okay.
Because cocoa deals with seasons. It doesn't deal with January to December.
Can I now say
he's not a cocoa farmer?
No, can I
so
now
we
speak?
have ended that crop season.
It's misleading
We
the public.
ended crop season.
The honourable member is misleading the public. Can I now speak? Kindly do not interrupt.
He has no time. You have the time.
No, I took his time.
Let me just wind up. Let me just
wind up.
You can't interject. You can't come on the point.
Why? The man doesn't know that.
Let him
we don't do January to December.
Let him wind up. Let them wind up.
Kofi Adams
I want to hear
cannot deceive. I will mention him.
Okay.
I have given you the trend, and I have showed you, without any shade of doubt, that when we came to office in 2017, there were certain practices that were put
which
in
have
place
yielded
that peaked.
2001.
Yes.
So how come these same practices are existing and yet you drop from 1001?
Because look at the trend. So there is a certain trend.
Yeah, so from the 1001 you dropped to
822. It is not a steep drop because if you look,
300,000.
we dropped from 897 to 740.
No,
I am giving
that's
you
not significant as 1,100 to 800.
So then you come and look at other factors. Okay. That doesn't change the fact that there were certain practices that were put in place.
Okay.
Listen, it is obvious that government has invested so much in the individual farms with government's own resources.
Okay.
Government cut their farms, gave them cocoa seedlings, gave them plantains to intercrops. No, governments.
He's looking at it from...
That's stretching the argument. That's stretching the argument. So government came to you, your farm, encouraged you to cut. Gave you even money for your cutting, gave you money for cocoa seedlings, gave you plantain for intercropping. Okay, so that whilst you are waiting for the period, and then government brings people to your farm to come and hand pollinate. Government also introduced the early mass spraying strategy between April and May to be able to beat the challenges that they had in the past, and that really yielded the results. And that is still yielding the results because even our drop to 800, it's above what we were doing in the past 4 or 5 years, which was 700,000. So it means that we are still up. We are not down because we haven't gone below where we were.
There was a time we got to 900.
Yes, but I'm saying that we still haven't gone below. No, we haven't gone below where we were before some of these interventions. Okay. And if you look at the trend, there is no doubt that there's something going on within the same industry, okay, where you cannot sustain a certain production at a certain level. It's not like an upward trend. That is not what we are seeing here.
Okay.
Even if we are using the 2013-2012 one. And the farmers appreciate this. When you hear the farmer general and you talk to a lot of actual cocoa farmers, not audio cocoa farmers like Kofi Adams, honorable, but when you talk to the actual cocoa farmers, they will tell you that government's intervention is one that they couldn't have afford. And we need to just appreciate this. And when you listen to my conversation from the beginning, you realize that I tried as much as possible to stay away from all this needless MPP, NDC politics. Because when you look at it, there is absolutely no doubt that in terms of money that we are giving to the cocoa farmer, we are giving them more. In terms of our investment into the cocoa farmers farm, we are investing more. You can't run away from that.
Okay.
Absolutely nobody can run away from that. Because if the farmer you were paying 400, let's even say fuel was 1 Ghana cedi, was harvesting one sack of cocoa in his farm. Under the MPP, as a result of our investment in the farm, he's now getting 5 bags. So he's getting more money.
So 1 cedi times 5.
You cannot run away from that. So no matter how you twist it and do it and turn it around.
I want to.
And why are you so?
Well, I thought.
No matter how you, but if I'm done, it doesn't come to you. No matter how you determine. No matter how you try to do gymnastics with this, the farmers are watching.
Okay.
They are listening. They know.
Okay.
They appreciate. They understand the fact that no government, and you heard the farmer general, is that no minister
has done any better
has been able to listen to the plight of farmers and intervene in the plight of farmers than this minister. We need to acknowledge that. And so even if you were giving them 5 Ghana cedis in the past, and we are even giving them 3 Ghana cedis, we will still have been doing more. Let alone now that we are giving them times 2.
Okay.
How much you used to give them. The cocoa farmer is better now than they are 4 years ago or 3 years ago or 6 years ago. That does not, however, mean that still cocoa farmers are not being treated unfair. I think that cocoa farmers still deserve more than they have now. But this government has shown the way. They have shown working.
Thank you. I think the MPP uses the hashtag "We have done better," and which is what he has just repeated for you.
What has he called?
Sander, I believe
if I don't allow him,
your mathematics.
Would I come back?
It's not in suspect.
But, okay,
I know your mathematics is not in suspect.
I thought you were referencing to my old disability, which is public knowledge that I wanted to be a pilot, but because of mathematics.
Your mathematics is not in
okay, what's
suspect,
your point,
at least. The man says that when we were doing 800,000 metric tons, that's in terms of equating, a farmer was doing 1 bag per farm. As a result of great cultural practices that were introduced, that same farmer is now doing 4 bags per the same acreage that used to give him 1 bag. So simple multiplication. If you are supposed to do just simple arithmetic, and you are multiplying 800 by 4, what will you get?
Plenty.
What have we gotten?
Nothing.
So when you come to sit and lie,
and throw words out there,
no, but you see, you should listen to what he's saying.
What is he
saying?
His
point is that if we were getting 800, you came in and you brought beautiful, brilliant cultural practices, and then this meant that each farmer per capita was producing more than what they used to do in the past. Then you should multiply the 800 by no matter the number.
I am doing about 1.1.
So when you multiply 800 by 4, you get.
I am doing almost 1.4 or so.
No,
am I not?
No, but it doesn't. The figures do not.
But what kind of calculation are you doing? You are allowing to do simplistic calculation.
No, he's not doing simplistic. No, you did the.
Yes, but the evidence is there. The tonnages are more.
No, but the tonnages cannot be more by the.
How can it not be more?
They are not. They have come down.
How did we move from 700,000 to 1.1?
And how did we come from 1.1 to 800?
But you see, there are other practices, including even the Galamsey situation that we're experiencing now. Haven't you seen the farmers who are complaining about selling their cocoa farms this year and last year and 2 years ago for gold miners?
Let me come.
Isn't that part of the reasons?
Hold your horse.
Including, no, but those are facts.
Okay.
That there are farmers in this country who have come up publicly to indicate that they have sold their cocoa farms. They have sold their cocoa farms for Galamsey. And this is as a result of you and your party enabling these cocoa farmers to sell their farms for Galamsey. So what it means is that even the size of lands that we are actually farming on now is reduced. And if not for government intervention, we'll be producing 200,000 metric tons.
It's okay. I'll come to you. This is the big issue on Citi TV and Citi FM. So it has to do with how much cocoa we have produced over the period.
The figures are there. There's no debate.
And it's a bit debatable.
The figures are here.
Dennis Abadi will not want it to be a debate. In fact, I still have Franklin on standby. I want to look at how this has affected the city. But the two self-styled cocoa farmers in my studio will settle the debate and then we'll come. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. We'll do the finance matters, but Kofi and Dennis are having a debate over tonnage. You have a point on that. Okay, I'll let you submit for me. I just want to hear Kofi now. Kofi, you have 5 minutes uninterrupted.
Sander.
How? Because Dennis interrupted you too much.
Because
I gave you 10 minutes. I'm giving 5 minutes. I'm giving 5 minutes.
Because I am a cocoa farmer.
Oh my God.
Oh, you claim to be a cocoa farmer.
I know that cocoa doesn't deal with January to December.
But who has said that?
So when you have someone tells you that...
Dennis, we had an agreement.
No, but I have never said that.
When you have someone tells you that 2022 has not ended...
I have not said that.
Then the person exhibits his ignorance.
I haven't said that.
But you mentioned that 2022 ended.
The person is exhibiting his ignorance.
No, wait. Let's set something record. Kofi, Dennis Abuaji, I am not a cocoa farmer, but you have used the phrase, the term
2022 has ended. Yes. Okay. Yes. But I never said that cocoa farming is January to December.
No, okay, no problem.
So,
exactly.
So
that's fine.
When we are dealing with years as far as cocoa is concerned, we have seasons. So when you have someone sits here and say he's a cocoa farmer and tells you that 2022 has not ended, straight away, you should tell you that that person is ignorant.
Oh, how?
And doesn't
what
understand.
What kind of logic is that? What contest did I say 2022 has ended? What kind of logic is that?
That's
anyway,
when
you proceed.
That was when we mentioned
We're talking about Tony.
Yes, because I am reading.
Are you going to add?
You see,
are you going to add
even the statistics we're reading has an asterisk.
No problem. Do you have the 2022 figures?
No, because that is why even the statistics that where I was reading this had an asterisk on it.
That is not yet out.
You are rather ignorant of the situation because it hasn't been published yet.
That's fine. Don't interject anymore, Kofi.
I'm just correcting him.
Okay.
You see, when you are quoting from figures that haven't been published, you claim haven't been published. Some of us deal with figures that we know what it is. Because before they go out there to go and negotiate and deal with situations, figures come out and we handle them and we know what we are talking about.
So you know what you approved?
So I know what we approved. And I know the
approval
returns.
inspections.
I know what they have
Approval
brought back.
But there are projections that...
Didn't he tell you that they approved 800,000 and they bought 700,000?
Okay.
I mean, you are allowing the man to just throw things into the air.
But you see, you are working with figures that are coming to the House of Parliament. It's a House of Records.
Yes,
until it is disproved, that is what we work with.
Yeah, but you and I know that Parliament approves projections.
Yes.
That is why when you go to
but these are reasonable projections.
No, that is why it has asterisks. So he is trying to put it out as if it's matter of fact.
So it's not, okay.
That is what I am saying.
It's not confirmed.
Yes.
Sandra, the 2022 crop season has closed.
Do you know what tonnage we have produced?
The figures are known. I'll come to that. The figures are known.
Okay.
They are not going beyond what it is that is put out there.
And what figure is that?
One. He talked about...
What figure is that?
He talked about cultural practices. And that so-called cultural practices have resulted in a farmer now per an acreage producing 4 times what the farmer used to produce 4 years ago. So if the farmer 4 years ago, assuming without even admitting that Ghana we were doing just 500,000 metric tons, assuming, even though the figures were so high, if you multiply 500 by his argument that each farmer has increased 4 times.
In fact, let me just say that the 4 times he used was not a specific figure he's using on authority. He's just using an example. I'm not sure he meant that increase by 4-fold.
So why will you come and throw out such figures that are not truthful on a platform like this?
Dennis, are you saying the four were you using it to make a case, or you mean it as a matter of fact?
Oh, no.
Okay, so he didn't mean that. I think it's a conversation.
Yes.
So he's just saying that it has increased.
So he was just throwing figures out there. Not that it has increased. It has increased by that.
If a 20-pod tree is giving you a 200-pod tree, you know it's obvious that your yield will go up.
So do you have the percentage by which it increased?
That notwithstanding, you and I know, and I have said it, I put it on record.
Let me just
that
ask
the size of cocoa farms have been reduced.
Forget the size of the sacks or the bags, whatever you call it. Do you know how many percentage multiplication there has been in each farm, in each yield?
Oh, how can each farm?
You don't have.
Are you talking about each farm? How?
Well, I mean by the tonnage.
How each farm? How?
You don't. No, I mean you were saying that a farmer.
How would anybody be?
No, everybody can be. You said the farmer was giving. No, I am not a man in charge of cocoa. You said farmers have been given cultural practice.
Yes,
blah blah blah.
and it's increased their yield.
Yes, I'm asking. Do you have a percentage?
So that's
of
what
that
I'm saying.
yield?
The cocoa board tells us that the tree that used to do about 20 pods is now doing about 200 pods. So that gives you an indication.
20 pods now 200.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
do that.
No, why not? Are you a cocoa farmer?
No, I'm not. But I was trying to protect you. But if you move from 20 to 200,
that's 10 times.
That's 10%.
Yes.
10 times.
So it means that.
But Kofi's point is that it doesn't reflect on the national picture.
It's reflected. That's why we go 1.1.
No problem.
And then the challenge is that we are losing some of the land side.
Okay. No problem. Kofi, please learn from me.
Maybe he's exhibiting his name on this platform. What he's saying is not happening on any cocoa farm. Maybe that cocoa farm exists only in his mind.
The farmers are watching.
Or possibly it exists at the Jubilee House. They have some cocoa farms there that is producing those pods that he's talking about. But Sandra, let me tell you that when it comes to nursery sites, the whole country, we used to have just 150 nursery sites, thereabout. It was under Dr. Opuni's leadership, John Dramani Mahama as president, that nursery sites were increased into thousands. Just so to make seedlings, the government free seedling projects available to the farmers. If you come to my municipality, before this Dr. Opuni's program, there existed no nursery site in Jasikan Municipal. We used to go to Kajebi to get our seedlings, and then go to Biakuye also had some nursery sites there. But today, as we speak, Jasikan alone has nursery sites more than 4 as a result of Dr. Opuni's policies and program to make nursery sites available to the people. Without nursery sites, you cannot get seedlings to the farmers. And that intervention was significant in terms of making the cocoa seedlings available. It takes some number of years.
I want you to dedicate
for cocoa seedlings to grow, to reach a point of even producing pods. And that is why one is surprised if he claimed that it was as a result of a good cultural practices, including cutting and planting maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that have resulted in an increase in yield in 2021. Then we would have expected that those new trees that have started producing will have to continue producing over a long period before it drops. It doesn't drop every year. Now, this year you produce, like himself is saying, 20 to 200, you produce 200, then next year you drop to 20 back to 20 or 40 or even 50. You sustain that level of growth for maybe 10 years before it starts what? Dropping. If he had told me that, oh, their cultural practices, those trees have not started producing, then there will be no argument. But his argument is that they have actually started producing, and that resulted in the increase in yield. That increase in yield don't drop every year. It doesn't work that way. Okay. It has to be sustained for more than 10 years before they aged. Then it starts dropping.
You have 1 minute to
they haven't aged. So that argument is wrong.
Okay.
Again, talking about prices of things, the cocoa farmer doesn't exist outside of Ghana. The cocoa farmer exists within Ghana. The cocoa farmer has a car that must be fueled. The cocoa farmer goes to the market also to buy rice to feed. The cocoa farmer has to purchase many other things, whose prices we all know the levels of changes that have happened. How much was a bag of cement in 2016? A bag of cement was less than 25 cedis. Today, a bag of cement is over 70 cedis. So if you are giving the cocoa farmer 800 as against the 400 that is being given, a bag of cement alone has more than what? Okay. Double. So you have made the farmer worse off.
Okay.
Many other things that the farmer has to depend on has gone up. So I was just asking you about petrol to put into his car or his machine to spray his farm. A gallon of petrol was 14 cedis. Today, a gallon is over 70 cedis. So even the cost of running his farms have gone up. So you can't sit here and tell me that if you pay the person 800 today, he is better off than even the 450 that he was being paid maybe 4 years or 5 years ago. You have made him worse off by worse economic management.
Thank you,
Please spare me 30 seconds.
No,
for the sake of your viewers.
Dennis, I can't
no,
hear
but do you really want to
Franklin,
help
can you please?
Franklin, can you help me with 30 seconds of your time?
Let me get the points they've
made.
Dennis,
I have shown you that.
Dennis, respectfully.
What I know with our interactions with Cocoa Board
oh my God.
is that, and we verified this, is that there's been some productivity enhancement. In fact, it's true. So the size that a tree really produces has actually shot up by about 4-fold. Okay. That's true.
Okay.
What and Honorable Adams is also right to the extent that he makes the point that, well, look, even if these prices that you say or this tonnage has increased, rather Dennis makes the point, rather that the other factors that have resulted in the dip that we're actually seeing right now, which actually goes to the conversations around cocoa sustainability programs that we need to have. is very important. I think Honorable Adams also has a point when he says that, look, even if you have done all of these wonderful things and you are now paying this amount of money to the cocoa farmer, realize the effect of the currency woes that we are experiencing right now. The inflation has also eaten away the value anyway. So either way, I think we need to start looking seriously at the way we deal with cocoa sustainability issues in this country. There's a price element, but there's the productivity element that must be dealt with seriously, especially in the light of Galamsey and all the other external factors that affect cocoa. You were going to ask me a question about what the impact of the 1 point...
Yes, to the Citi.
Well, it's essentially to shore up the Citi, but I think it wouldn't be for long, really, because the Citi is on its own, it has its own mind right now.
It's traveling on its...
It's likely to hit about 13 by the end of the year.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the trajectory, probably more than 13.
Can you give me some dollars to put under my pillow, please? I'll change it in December.
I'm not Forex Bureau.
Oh, cool. But frankly, you and I know that you have a few dollars in the system somewhere.
I look like dollar, right?
Yeah, we need to leave it here.
No,
Thank
Umaru,
you so much.
Let me, for the sake of your viewers.
Okay, 10 seconds.
Especially when you say you were helping.
10 seconds.
Umaru, so this is the Cocoa Board official page, where they said a tree has over 900 pods and another about 1,229 pods. A cocoa farmer narrates in video, and the cocoa farmer actually shows the tree. So initially, because you're not a cocoa farmer,
he said, because
you're not a cocoa farmer. Because you're not a cocoa farmer, it's not an isolated case. When I made the point, you were shocked. And you actually didn't believe that the cocoa tree can even give 200. I'm just buttressing the point that, let me tell you.
So the cocoa is said from 900 to what?
Some are doing 900, some are doing 1,200.
From where?
From 20.
From 20,
yes.
20 posts to 900,200.
But you see, because let me tell you,
one cocoa tree had 20 posts.
The pictures are there,
and then changes
the next year to
2,200.
Yes. Because of the hand pollination and the pruning program. And in fact, if you go to some districts,
there was some enhancement.
In fact, if you go to some figures, nobody sees. This is cocoa board.
Hand pollination.
This is cocoa board. Yes, but you see, because you are not a cocoa farmer, when I mentioned, he almost deceived you to think that it's impossible. I have just shown you.
Thank you so much.
So it tells you the number
I'll take the official cocoa board figures and I'll work with that.
He has put out there today. And he says it forcefully.
Anyway. All your microphones are off.
You.
Thank you so much. Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa, Dr. Tony Obin, former CEO Minerals Commission, Michael Pepper, President, Consent Small Scale Miners Association, Honorable Kofi Adams, MP for Buem, Dennis Abuaji, Deputy Minister or Minister in Akufo-Addo government who never was.
This one that you are doing is dangerous.
The president is
to my health.
He may give you a deputy minister.
It's dangerous to my health.
Go and be deputy
I am
minister.
fine with what I am doing now.
This thing they're going to create
No, it's not. IMCC is not created. This has been there. It's law.
Go and be deputy minister.
IMCC is in the law. It's not created. It is law.
Okay. Then let me also acknowledge Nana Obuadie Boatimbonsu, President of Concerned Farmers Association. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. This has been The Big Issue on Citi TV and Citi FM. Thank you for being with us.